What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about hi-hat patterns specifically for trap music. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and let's jump right into this one. Alright guys, so when I'm jumping into making my hi-hat patterns, the first thing is you want to have a nice hi-hat sound that sounds good. And then I always start with the two-step here. Alright, and from there I start jumping in and tweaking it. So we're going to look at a couple different hi-hat patterns that are just going to smack. So let's jump into this. So when you're making hi-hats, a good thing to do is to turn on your triplet grid here. And you want to mess with the 16ths, the 32s, and sometimes you could even go higher or lower than that depending on the feel that you want. So if you want like an 808 Mafia type of hi-hat, this is what you can do. So they usually start off with a little triplet here right away. So I'll put something like right here. It's also good to play with the different notes that you have. Don't just keep them all on C, and don't just keep them all on C and F. Go ahead and play around with the different notes because you can get some really awesome sounds when you do it that way. So one thing that 808 Mafia likes to do is they like to pick a note. We're doing D in this case. And they'll play it one time and then they'll go into a shift right after where it's just like a super fast roll. So it sounds like this. And another thing you could do is you could have one right after as well. It sounds pretty cool. Alright, and you could honestly just repeat that and you could have your whole thing going from there. So if you want to change it a little bit on the second part, you could just put another one in front here as well, and maybe we'll take this one out. You'd have something like this. And then you can go in here and play around and maybe throw a couple extra things in there as well, but this is pretty much the grid that they like to follow. Maybe we'll even put another one of these here. Put it up one. We'll shift this over a little bit just so it's not playing it right after this. If you want to have something a little more simple, what you could do is you could just go in here and like add notes like this. Add this in every so often. Put another one in right here. Maybe we have a little roll right here as well. And then you could go ahead and change it up by doing something like this. Putting this in here instead of another one of these, just so you have a little bit of variation there. Alright, and you could even do this after the clap if you like that better, but you usually don't want to put it right on the clap. Alright, so another thing you could do is you could put this in 16th or 8 in the triplet right here, and you could line these notes up right here every 8th. And then you have a nice little slower roll towards the end here. It sounds like this. Alright, and you could even put some of these notes up if you want. Even put a double in here sometimes sounds really good. Okay, so another thing that works really well is if you actually take some of them out. It gives it a little bit of a pause and actually makes it sound really epic. So let's find a spot where it would sound good to take it out, and then we can add some of the triplets and fills. So maybe we take it out here. And then we'll also take it out in this part as well. Alright, then we can go in here and start playing around with it and do a little bit more. So let's see. Another thing that I like to do is I like to take one of these notes out, which would be right here, and put it down, and then double it up. So it sounds pretty cool. Take a listen. All right, and then I might add in a little roll here just to kind of finish it off. So. And you could even prolong that pause a little bit if you want to take out another note as well. Maybe put this down a little bit lower. Let's see if it would sound better on this note. And one thing you could do is you could go ahead and start with the faster one and then lead into a 16th. So you could start with the 32s here in triplet grid and then go into the 16ths in the triplet as well, and that would sound pretty cool. So when you're making notes that are faster like this, what you can do is you can actually start at a high velocity here and then start going down each note. Go down a little bit until you get towards the bottom here. And it's going to give it a little fading out effect. That sounds really dope. All right, let's see how this is sounding now. And then maybe for the ones that aren't as fast, you could do the same thing, or you could change it up. Instead, maybe we start a little bit lower and then we go up instead of starting high and going down. And this is going to give us a little bit different of an effect. It's going to drag into it instead of fading out. Alright guys, one more thing that I want to mention is I always like to put mine into 3 voices. It kind of limits the voices that you can do on your hi-hat and it makes it sound a little more gritty. In my opinion, it sounds better when it's on 3 voices, so experiment with that. Also make sure that snap is off, because once it's snapped, it actually trims off a lot of the sample, so you're not getting the full sample. Lastly, what I want to talk about is using the sustain, decay, and release. So what I like to do is actually turn the sustain down all the way and the release down all the way, and then play with the decay. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to fade out the clip. So if you have it all the way up, it's going to play the full sample. But you can actually make it shorter and kind of trim it up and make it sound more tight if you play with the decay. So let's play with this as we're going. Alright guys, this is going to wrap up the trap hi-hat tutorial. So I hope you found some little tips and techniques that you can put and use into your hi-hats when you're making your trap beats. So if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because we're uploading new tutorials every single day, bro. And besides that, I'll be seeing you again in the next one. Peace out.